Vendee Globe, we're at the 23rd day of the race. With no further delay, let's find a very special correspondent at the heart of the event. So, here we are, in a very strange situation that we're going to, how could I put it, sum up the race? Let's note an enormous gap between the first and the last. More than 4,000 miles. Imagine, the distance between Quimper and New York City is 2,700 miles. So it's a huge gap. Let's note also that between the first and second that are rubbing elbows, the third is at 400 miles in the back. So we're talking about a fleet that's widely spread out on this Vendee Globe. Gaps that widen day after day. A little group of 7 or 8 boats caught up in the St. Helene's High. Let's note a beautiful race led by Keguiner with our friend Yann Eliès. And as far as we're concerned, with Finistère Mervent, we are in Tom Rouille's company. And the Black Knight. None others but Thomas Rouillon and our national Jean-Pierre Dick. On board Saint-Michel Virbac and Souffle du Nord. So we're in good company. We've left the Flying Fish region for the Albatros now. Good evening to everyone, and
yes, we can.
Jean Le Cam, offshore racer at his time, is en route to Cape of Good Hope. He should be crossing tomorrow. At the same time, Armel Lecléage, who's become the boss over the boss, is nearing another symbolic landmark. Here, we're heading towards the Kerguelen Islands. We should probably cross by Wednesday, after tomorrow. I hope the weather will be nice, that there'll be enough brightness because we won't be too far. And maybe we can see them on camera.
Did you think the descent of the South Atlantic was pretty cool for the skippers? Not really. After the doldrums, they have to negotiate the St. Helena high-pressure system, which is not an easy task. It is situated in the South Atlantic. It goes by this name because it is often centered over the island of St. Helena, where Napoleon Bonaparte was exiled. But this is not an history lesson. What happens around this high-pressure system? In the southern hemisphere, the wind turns anti-clockwise around the high pressure. On a direct route, the boats would need to sail upwind, which is not so good. On the western route, they can sail downwind around the high-pressure system, which is much quicker. The high pressure moves, it gets bigger, and contracts in on itself. The ideal method is to sail around it and not go too close to its center so as to avoid light winds. With a little luck, you have a low pressure system circulating the South Atlantic convergence zone. It pushes the high pressure towards the east, thus allowing you to sail a shorter route in very good wind conditions, reminiscent of being on a high-speed train. Less fortunate skippers will not benefit from low pressures along the South Atlantic convergence zone. They will have less wind and often a longer route to sail since the low pressure is not there to push the high pressure to the east. Speeds here are closer to a streetcar or tram than the high-speed train. The trajectory in the Southern Atlantic, as well as a bit of luck, can have a big impact on the ranking. You see, it's not as simple as this to sail from the doldrums to the Cape of Good Hope. If you like this little video, come back next week. We'll have another one about the conditions in the Roaring Forties. See you soon!
Hi everyone, well it's 6 o'clock. You can see it's already pitch black, but I have gone past 50 east, so the days are changing. All's good on board Hugo Boss. Currently ahead of the front, and wind should be slowly increasing. It's 18 to 24 knots at the moment, sailing with the A3. and the full mainsail, so it's a little bit stressful. I'm getting ready to change sails, put reefs in as the wind builds. It's really cold now. Hat, plenty of layers, no heating inside. You certainly feel isolated when you're down here. You know there's nobody to rescue you, nobody to help you. You're miles away from land. The only thing around you are birds and albatrosses. I love albatrosses, but even so, you definitely feel isolated. And I think down here, certainly I always feel that you need to be careful. Don't want to push too hard, don't want to break something. So that's what I plan to do. Stay conservative, try and nip at Armel's heels if I can. I'm on the port jibe, so no foil on this side. And see if I can stay in touch until we get to starboard, and then I can do something about it. So feeling positive, all happy, well fed, well rested. Bit chilly though. Hope all's good with you.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Vendee Globe Live. It's Monday, November the 28th. We're just beginning the 23rd day at sea. Armel Lecléache, the French sailor, is now out at the front by 30 miles. He's making the most of Alex Thomson's foil problems. I'm very happy to say that on my right today we have Marcus Hutchinson, team manager for SMA. Hello, Marcus.
Hi, how are you?
Very well. And amazing to say, joining us from the UK, we don't often have Knights of the British Empire on the show, but today we are joined by Sir Robin Knox-Johnston. So, hello, Robin.
Good morning.
Morning to you. We'll be talking to Marcus and Robin shortly. We begin today's show with the news that Tanguy de la Motte has officially retired from the Vendee Globe. He is back in Les Sabres. He arrived this morning, and we can bring you these pictures of his arrival back in Les Sabres d'Olonne. Now, just before he arrived, Tanguy managed to draw a heart shape on the chart. He sailed the shape of a heart. That's because his boat, Initiative Cœur, is all about a charity that saves lives for children with heart problems. I think we can now show you some pictures of his arrival. Here he is coming back into Les Sabres d'Olonne. He might not have been able to complete the race, but he returns a hero all the same. And here he is with one of the children that he has helped save. So, let's now have a little look at how things are looking on the racecourse today. Here's the 3D animation that's going to show you all of the stuff that's going on. So, after a real game of cat and mouse between Armel Lecléache and Alex Thomson at the front of that fleet, the French skipper finally passed the Brit again yesterday. This time he's been able to hang on to that lead, he's extended out, and now he's 30 miles ahead. Alex Thomson there with problems with his foils. They're both in prime foiling conditions. Behind, we've got Seb Joss, almost 500 miles back. He's got better winds today. Paul Maillard, Jeremy Bayou in 5th and 6th, just 10 miles apart there. Jan Ellie's in the Indian Ocean, 6th, 500 miles back. Jean-Pierre Dick leading Thomas Frion, and Jean Le Cam almost 300 miles to the southwest. Quito de Pavon looking good in 10th place this morning, almost into the roaring 40s. That group of 10 boats stuck in the San Helena High have now turned south to cross through it. Alan Rohrer, Endo Koinian and Peter Harima out to the west there, making better progress. And skipper Didac Costa is inching closer to Sebastian Destremo each day. He's probably the only skipper in the fleet to appreciate the San Helena High. Well, I think we can go to Robin Knox-Johnston in the UK and say, Robin, good morning. What are you making of the race so far?
Well, it's been very exciting, hasn't it? A wonderful competition going up at the front amongst the foilers. And I've been watching Alex, obviously, see how he's getting on. But his little private race with Armel Lecléache is just fascinating. And, you know, I watched yesterday as he slowly back, and now he's got a decent lead of about 30 miles. But, you know, it's still everything to go for. It's just fascinating to watch.
Well, it definitely is fascinating to watch. You mentioned Alex there, Robin. You obviously know Alex very well. Do you think he's got any chance of pulling it back, catching up Armel Lecléache?
Well, as I understand it, he's got one damaged foil and the other one's fine. So I think it's going to depend a little bit on which tack he's on. He's obviously got a very fast boat. And if he can be on the right tack so that he can use the foil that's still there, he might start to pull some of this back. It's going to obviously be difficult for him, but you know, there is a chance, there is a possibility. In any case, there's an awful lot of racing to do yet.
Well, as you mentioned, Robin, yeah, we're a third of the way into the race, still 2/3 left. Is it too early to ask you who your pick is?
I think it's far too early to ask anyone in a race like this because, you know, historically with all these races, it is a question of survival, keeping your boat going. You know, they're right at the cutting edge of boats, and it's so easy for one little thing to fail, and then the boat's out of it. And, you know, the pressures on the speeds they're doing are quite phenomenal. You think about it, their averages are better than Peter Blake and I did with Enza back in 1994 when we took the record, the Jules Verne. These boats are really flying around at the moment. It's just so exciting to watch them.
Yes, well, Marcus, interesting things going on at the front of the fleet here. Well, to be honest, all the way through the fleet, fantastic things. Alex Thomson and Armel Lecléache absolutely going toe-to-toe at the moment. But Paul Mayer is sailing a fantastic race so far as well. I mean, he's really clinging onto that front group.
Yes, he's had a great first third of the race, and interestingly, he's got one of his buddies and sister ship to SMA right beside him in Maître Coq. Maître Coq in the last race was Banque Populaire, and SMA in the last race was Massif. So those two boats had a real battle all the way around the world 4 years ago, and it's probably going to be that way as well right now. We understand that Jeremy hasn't got any internet on board. Both his fleet broadband antennas are down, and so he's obliged to use a handheld iridium to get his weather, and he said openly that he's following Paul around a lot. I don't know if he can follow Paul all the way to the finish. I'd be very happy if he follows him all the way to the finish, of course, because that means he'll be behind. But it's a very interesting situation. But I think more to the point, we've got a situation where those two are a pair that are racing each other. The leading two, Alex and Armel, are a pair, and further elsewhere through the fleet there's groups of boats. But wherever there's a solitary boat like Sébastien Josse or Jan Elias, it's a lot harder for them to know where to put the how hard to push, what they should be doing strategically, and so my heart goes out to them a little bit, because the guys with another boat beside them probably feel a little bit more secure, both strategically and just for a general safety point of view, having another boat beside.
Yeah, I mean, quite amazingly, Jeremy Bayou at 0500 this morning had actually sailed the most amount of miles in the fleet, 467 miles. So despite the fact that he's effectively following Paul, he still managed to clock up more miles.
Yes, well, I think it's pretty clear that foiling boats are significantly faster on several points of sail, and we've trained a lot against Maître Coq, so we know how well it goes, and obviously I'm looking at how close they are, and I'm loving that Paul's in fourth, but every sked that comes through, I know he's going to get past. But the reality is that it's a lot more complicated for Jeremy to really be able to play the fronts and the shifts and exactly where he needs to be, because he just doesn't have the same level of information on board that Paul does, and so that's going to be very tiring for him and very frustrating. So hats off to Jeremy, and I hope he can keep it up long enough to cross the line just behind Paul.
Well, I think we're very lucky now to be able to go live to Cullen Voyager and Enda O'Coinney, and we can say good morning to you, Enda.
Yeah, good morning. It's nice to hear some intelligent voices talking about the race here. Slightly detached from it here, out in the Southern Ocean here. So it's lovely to talk.
Well, I don't know how intelligent we sound to you, Enda. We've got Sir Robin Knox-Johnston with us live on Skype. We've got Marcus Hutchinson live in the studio, so we'll be talking more about that in a sec. Enda, just tell us a little bit about your strategy there. You seem to be skirting around that high pressure.
Yeah, earlier on in the race, I didn't do what all the conventional advice was to keep west, and I went east of the Canaries, and I really dropped myself in the drink and fell very far behind. So the conventional wisdom is to dive south and get around the Talina Eye, and that's what I've done. And so it looks as if, touch wood, that I might get back in with the main bunch. So it's quite interesting. The next few days are going to be quite interesting. We're in a light patch at the moment. We've got a wind speed of about 10 knots, but we're doing 11 knots of boat speed. We've got our blast reacher up, so we're moving south very quickly, hopefully, to get into that system coming across, and I think we have a good shot at catching up with the bunch.
Fantastic. Well, Robin, have you got any words for Ender at all?
Yes, Ender, good to talk to you. And you've been doing pretty well, I say, going east at the Canaries, but you've got a good boat there and you're sailing her well, so, you know, I think you'll be back in the middle of it very shortly.
Can I say hello to Robin? Pleasant surprise, Robin, to have you on the line. Long time no see, I trust you're well.
It's good to talk to you, Ender. Good to chat.
Yeah. Brilliant. Do you remember we did the circumnavigation of Ireland in prehistoric times? On British Airways, I think, with Jenny Guinness.
If I remember rightly.
Fantastic.
Well, fantastic to hook you two up together. Marcus, your fellow countryman, Ender, anything to say to him?
Yeah, Ender, there's two switches for the bilge pump in the engine compartment, if that helps.
Yeah, I've tried all of that, Marcus, but it's not a mission-critical problem, but hopefully there will be a solution. I've got the pumps working. It's just the issue with getting water to go flow through the pumps. So I have a few other things to try, and we can perhaps talk later.
Yeah, absolutely. No, all going well, Ender. It's looking great from the outside, so keep it up and stay safe.
Excellent.
Now, Eddie,
yes, you can...
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, just you know, it's lovely to talk. I think this is the first communication I've done with you guys, so you don't really get the full picture. I think you get a better picture when you're on the shore. I'm just happy out doing some great sailing. It's been fabulous sailing. A little bit frustrating in the light airs, but it's nice. You can feel a bit of the bite in the wind now as we move further south. Put some warmer clothes on today for the first time, so I'm looking forward to getting into the Southern Ocean and perhaps getting out of it. But so far, so good. You know, we've had some great sailing.
You've got a nice couple of boats beside you with Peter Herrimer and Alan Rohr. Obviously, beside you is a relative term, but they're both within striking match of you, and nice to have a target to sail against. And I would say that's something to be encouraged, is to have short-term targets.
Actually, it does. It makes a big difference. This is the first time, actually, in the whole race that I've actually now got somebody to pair with. I was about 180 miles behind him, and I've worked hard to catch him. I think I'm now about 70 miles from him, so we've had a good run in the last few days. So he's a good sailor, and I think we can have a good match ourselves, little match race around the world. So it's nice to get back in touch with the fleet. I had kind of lost touch completely, doing my own thing, as it were. And also, I think it just took me a while to get into the race and into the boat, and the adjustment from all the madness ashore. So it's lovely to be actually racing again.
Well, Robin, you're obviously someone who's had extensive experience at spending very, very long amounts of time at sea. What would your advice be to Ender at this point of the race? We've still got a very, very long way to go. What would you be telling him?
Well, I think, you know, you're very busy on the boat and enough to get to know it, which is the important thing. You know, you just keep pressing on, don't you? You look for the next boat in front of you and you say, right, I want to catch him next. So you focus on that. And once you've got a focus like that, it sort of begins to dominate your life and you get on with it. And as I say, Ender's got a fast boat. I think he's got actually quite a lot of excitement there, because I think he can catch some of these other boats up. And that will give him a tremendous spirit and something to really push him, make him push himself harder.
Well, absolutely. And Ender, I don't know if you caught all of that, but Robin's tipping you to catch up a few places. Yeah.
It's actually it brings it alive to have somebody to tag with. Actually, it's transformed my race in the last week. So I'm looking forward to that, and as thanks for that advice, Robin. We'll go for that. Appreciate it.
Well, not a bad person to take advice from, Enda. Listen, thank you very much for dialing us up today. We appreciate it massively. It's fantastic to have you on the line. You're one of the most favourite racers out on the race course for everyone watching. So we say thanks to you, and we'll speak to you in a few days' time.
Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Out here on Kilcullen Forge, standing by.
Cheerio.
Fantastic. Well, Robin, I mean, Enda's a fantastic character, isn't he? I mean, it's amazing to have people like Enda out on the racecourse.
I think it's great. The fact, Enda sort of backed himself to do the race, bought himself a good boat from Mike Golding, and he's out there and he's competing well. And I think it just adds to the fun of the race, really. We've got the real top pros out there up at the front. But further back, we've got some good sailors who are really putting up a very good show, and he's one of them. And I think this makes the race more interesting to ordinary people.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think that we're generating more audience than has ever been done in this race before, which is fantastic. Robin, you last sailed your lap of the planet in 2007, also on board an IMOCA 60. But we're in a generation with foils now. How do you see these changes playing out in the fleet?
Well, we're still, I think, at the point where we're waiting to see how well the foilers can do in the Southern Ocean. But so far, they seem to have done pretty well, apart from Alex's problem. And I think we're going to be learning a great deal from this race, I mean, how many boats now are beginning to talk about fitting foils, ordinary racing boats? We're going to see more and more of them, I think. But this is where it's being pushed. This and the America's Cup is where the technology is being developed at the moment. And I think it's a very exciting time in yacht design.
Absolutely. Marcus, Enda's a different kind of racer to Paul. Perhaps not pushing the boat as hard as Paul is, but he's a different kind of character. The Vendee Globe obviously appeals to very professional, serious racers, but there's also that spirit of adventure.
There's no question about it, and that's what makes the richness of the Vendee Globe. It is for everybody. As long as you've qualified and proven that you're competent and capable to handle a boat like that over a serious course like a transatlantic race, anybody can enter it. And that's really important. I think if we only had the pure athletes at the front, the fighter pilots, as I call them, it would be a very boring race, very tedious. And also, I think the other element that's quite important here, this year we've got a third of the fleet are non-French sailors. Now, for sure, a large proportion of those non-French sailors are of the same profile as Enda, but at the same time, we have Alex fighting it out for first place there. But these people are the people who understand, are going to have a better knowledge of the race. They will share it, they're opinion makers, and hopefully that will allow other teams to come in and to be as competitive, but try it at least, because it is one of the most spectacular races to do in terms of personal achievement. Solo sailing is a very personal achievement-oriented sport at the best of times, but to be able to go around the world by yourself, Peter Herrimer, who is a similar profile to Enda, a self-made man in No Way Back, and decided in his 60s that he wanted to do this. Rich Wilson as well, and it's very positive. I think it's a great thing for them to do, and what's great is that they're very good at sharing their experiences, or especially Enda.
Absolutely. Well, one man who is certainly out there to win is Jan Elias. Now, Jan is down in 6th place. He's some way back at the moment, but he's passed into the Indian Ocean, and he is not letting up. He's in the first non-foiling boat in the fleet, and he is putting the hammer down. We spoke to him earlier. Here's what he had to say.
Today it's a long day, quite long day, because we are now south and now we are east, so the day are very longer. It's beginning at 12 o'clock and finishing at I think 19 or 19 hours UTC. So I began this day with a powerful day, with 40 knots. With lots of waves behind the front, so I was a little bit stressed to find the good sail and the good range for the sail. when I try to find that, I have a quite long sleep during 2 or 3 hours, and now I'm just wake up, and I think I have to change myself at the front. I think I put the small Ginecar and 1 reef more, so I think I take my breakfast now, and after I do that.
You seem to be doing a fantastic job at holding on to that front group of sailors, Jan.
Thank you. I think the most important moment of my race since its beginning, it's when I arrived to cross the high pressure of St. Helens with a small front. That's the most important moment of my race. A few days ago, and now it's important for me to find the good way, the good rhythm to do this Vendee Globe and to finish in it. It's very hard to find the good sails with the wave, with the wind, and to don't break anything. So I'm not looking forward me. I don't look the performance of the foiling boat because I think they are faster than me. I'm just trying to sail alone with my feeling, and if I arrive to do that, perhaps I finishing it, and perhaps I will be in the 5 or perhaps the first place.
Well, there you go, Jan Elias saying perhaps he could even finish first if some of those boats in front of him don't manage to make it all the way around. Let's have a quick look at what the weather's doing out on the course today. I think we can show you this map of the South Atlantic and the Indian Ocean there. See the front group, they are in that red circle, followed, they're in great pressure at the moment. Just behind, we've got the chasers in the yellow. But the big thing to mention here is that massive St. Helena High in blue in the middle left of that chart. Let's have a look at the front of the fleet. Interesting things going on at the front. There we have Armel Lecléache and Alex Thomson being forced down towards that exclusion zone by a big band of high pressure. Now, they're in decent winds at the moment, 20 knots from the northwest. Seb Joss, about 300-400 miles back, he's got good pressure, but really it's SMA and Jeremy Bayou, Paul Mayer, Jeremy Bayou in the back left of that chart who are really making great gains. So, Robin, before we go, I just want to ask you, when you see these guys out on the water, does it make you sort of yearn to be out there with them, and have you got one more lap left in you?
I'm not sure if I've got another lap left in me. I'm beginning to creak a bit, you know, but certainly, I mean, I watch it. I'm probably going on the site 4 or 5 times a day just to see how it's going. And I am just a little bit envious of them and just think of them down there, all this racing they're getting and competing against some really first-class competition and thinking, you lucky so-and-sos, I'd love to be doing it.
Well, absolutely. Marcus, now we just heard from Jan Elias. He's one place behind, well, 2 places behind Paul. We know that he's now not perhaps looking to overtake, but he's going to sort of be there for the long haul. You'll be speaking to Paul at some point. What will you be telling him?
Well, as you know, I'm not really allowed to tell him very much at all. I can tell him that Ireland beat Australia at the rugby, which is what he was very keen to hear. No, look, Paul knows exactly what the situation is, and all of those boats do in the middle when they fall into a separate weather system. It's really about an attrition situation, and you know, they don't want their friends ahead of them because they're all friends. Don't forget this. They don't want anybody to have any problems, but they also know that it's pretty unlikely that they can pass them on pure speed, or if there's a situation with the weather, they might be able to catch up quite significantly. But I'm not sure that they're really ever going to be able to pass them by just by sailing normally. We do know that we think that Alex has lost the tip of his starboard foil, so but how much of the actual shaft is still there, he's not going to let us know until probably we cross the finish line. But Alex is going to be compromised on port tack upwind, there's no question about that. The question is, how far is he going to be ahead at Cape Town, and is there going to be a lot of port tack upwind up the South Atlantic. Well, we can't tell that, and that's up to the weather gods to decide. So, but as long as there's a chance, you keep pushing and you minimize the losses. And you know, we've seen that this race has had a lot of attrition in the past, and I read somewhere the other day that at this stage in the race 8 years ago, the 5 boats that were occupying the first 5 places didn't finish the race. So you know, we just don't know what's going to happen. But that's, you know, that's part of the richness of this. But it's great to see there's a good competition going on out there. I think the boats this time around are infinitely better prepared than have ever been the case in the past. And I would argue that the leaders, even with their foils and stuff, are infinitely more experienced than was the case perhaps 4 years ago or 8 years ago. Certainly the people like Armel Leclerc and even Jan Elias. I'm, you know, we're looking at a situation where these boats are going to be pushing hard, but also keeping an eye on who's around them. But the boats that are in the weather system ahead of them are likely to stay there as far as Cape Horn.
Well, that pretty much brings to an end another Vendee Globe live show. My big thanks to Marcus Hutchinson. Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you.
And very special thanks to Sir Robin Knox-Johnston for phoning in from the UK. Thanks, Robin.
Thank you.
Well, we'll be back same time tomorrow, where I will be joined by Sebastian Rock, GT32 sailor. Same place, same time. We'll be live from Vendee Globe HQ in Paris. And I leave you with this video that shows that the oceans aren't all full of junk. There's some animals out there too.